heck is Rental Guardian? Well, I like to put this slide in here because it basically, kind of in a nutshell, tells you what we do and how we do it. We are what we would consider the most advanced travel and damage protection platform on the market. And the reason why is because we're integrated via API with our protection programs, which makes it super simple for you all to be able to make use of them and implement them on a daily basis with your homeowners, your guests, and all connected via the software. So we've got smart programs like cancel for any reason, travel protection. You're going to earn revenue on every policy that's sold, which is great news and what we're going to tell you how to maximize today. Our system allows you to track coverages from the data that's reported back to us from LiveRez. And then, of course, we've got customized programs that we're going to talk about, which are either to cover damages or more comprehensively cover multiple facets of your business when it comes to operating in the vacation rental space. Now, when we're talking about maximizing revenue, we want to talk about how you're going to be able to easily and effectively upsell protection programs. And that's the data we're going to deliver today. First and foremost, let's talk about, the marketplace. Right now, there is incredible interest in protection programs. And we know this because we were recently in October at the Verma International Conference, and we were busier than we ever have been before with conversations with property managers of all sizes, shapes, and locations and destinations, trying to get information about, hey, I need to get access to protection programs, whether it was travel protection or damage protection or both. Folks are very eager to learn more about how they can take advantage of these programs and what they can do for them. And the reason why, I think, is because of the climate we're in. Most vacation rental homeowners are more educated. They've been doing research. They've been, listing their homes and now are tired of doing that and want to use a property manager to maximize their return on their vacation rental efforts. And with that, as homeowners are becoming smarter and more effective, that pushes property managers to become more effective as well. And that knowledge is basically sort of hitting a critical mass. And we really experienced it in October, and it's just grown. Normally, we're a little slow in December and January, and actually those were our best Decembers and January we had in a long, long time just recently. So we know the demand is there. And then, of course, as property managers, if you've experienced somewhat of a softening in the market because, the COVID spike is, kind of ran its course, and now things are starting to settle back to where they were pre-COVID, you are now trying to figure out as a property manager how you can reevaluate and refine your programs to generate more revenue while spending less. And so these are going to be at the core values of what we're going to deliver today. And I think you're going to find value in the message. So first and foremost, let's talk about the programs that are available. Travel insurance is obviously a main program when you're talking about upselling programs to your guests. Damage protection is a big deal as well. There's multiple ways to do damage protection. We're going to talk about that today and some effective ways to be able to implement it and maximize it for your benefit as well as your homeowner's benefit. And then, of course, there's a comprehensive coverage that basically is a multiple coverage approach in one easy to use policy, and we'll cover that as well. The one protection area that I didn't cover here is if you were to have somebody switch out their homeowner's program with a commercial grade coverage. That's an annual coverage, not a per booking coverage. And we didn't list that today because we really don't compete with that market segment. From what I hear, it's super expensive, sometimes 5, maybe 6 times as much. And so homeowners are really not super excited about having to do that and maybe break up any bundles that they might have. And then when we talk about what you can do and how you can do it with regards to upselling, first and foremost, direct bookings via your website, super important. LiveRez gives you a great environment to be able to maximize this, and they've built it into the back end of their software to be able to promote these programs and get the most value for you. And we're going to show you how you can maximize that even beyond what's there. And then, of course, outbound communication touchpoints. The LiveRez software also allows you to send out automated emails and marketing pieces to your folks, your homeowners, your guests, etc. And so in that, you're able to actually take advantage of some of the tools we can provide to be able to then upsell and promote your programs even more than you do currently. And then with Rental Guardian, we're going to talk about an online store. If you're not familiar with an online store because you're not using Rental Guardian, that might be a great way for you to be able to say, well, gosh, maybe I should get in touch with Rental Guardian, because we're going to give you a way to sell travel insurance after a direct booking 24/7, 365 with your own branded, customized online store. And then where we really focus and pride ourselves on upselling opportunities is training. Making sure that your team is on point and trained with the programs and comfortable with talking about them is super important. And so what we pride ourselves in is being able to have a training session with you, and then, of course, schedule multiple training sessions as seasonality comes. When you're going into peak season, you're on the phone, you're talking to these folks, your team is, and it's super important that they are educated and comfortable. But then as the season comes back down and they start to lose some of that knowledge, then of course scheduling another training before you go into peak season when things ramp up is also important, and we'll kind of talk about what we can do there as well. So let's get into it. Travel protection. Most people know what travel protection is, or travel insurance. There's multiple providers in the marketplace. Some of the mainstays in the industry who have been around for quite some time are Generali, which used to be known as CSA. There's Red Sky, there's AIG, and of course there's Rental Guardian in the space as well. And we come at it from a different approach. If you use any of the other providers or don't use any travel insurance at all, you're probably familiar with standard travel protection. And basically standard travel protection says if you have what's listed in the policy, then that gets in the way of you taking your vacation and it's a covered reason, you can cancel. You as a property manager can then enforce your cancellation clause, and then you're able to then go ahead and keep the revenue that was booked, and then the guest can go file a claim with the underwriter. But many times folks have a reason that's not listed in the travel insurance policy, meaning that technically if it's not listed, there's no coverage. And with that scenario, that's why we stand head and shoulders in the marketplace above the rest by offering cancel for any reason. And cancel for any reason is just what it says. It literally allows a guest to call you up and say, I'm not coming. And they can still get a 60% reimbursement off of the money that they forfeit to you per the cancellation clause that you have with them, meaning that it's a far better scenario when somebody calls up and says, hey, my son is on a traveling soccer team and made the championship tournament, and instead of coming to Colorado to go skiing, we have to go to Orlando and play soccer in the national tournament. Well, that is not a standard covered reason. So having a for any reason policy is going to allow you to have more coverage opportunities for your guests, but also internally have less awkward conversations around cancellations. And so offering two programs is going to be sort of a cheat code for you to be able to sell more travel insurance at the end of the day. So our program basically is going to be 30 plus covered reasons. If you were to stand them all side by side, they all have a similar amount of reasons, except we feel, based on the counting we've done, we're more robust for the same or similar price. Others come in the neighborhood anywhere between 18 to 28 standard covered reasons. So we do have a few more standard covered reasons in our basic policy, the standard policy. But like I said, when we add in the for any reason benefit, that's where we stand head and shoulders above the rest. The total coverage that we provide is $100,000 of total trip cost. I personally haven't taken a $100,000 vacation, maybe someday if I win the lotto, but folks that are booking, a beachfront 5 or 6 or 7 bedroom home that's going to be like $25,000 a week and multiple families are coming, you could seriously get up to that if you were to put in all the airline tickets and other things, excursions, boat charters, things of that nature. So having $100,000 of total trip costs is a great value. And it's also a revenue stream for your business. And that's why selling more travel insurance in an effective manner is going to give you more revenue to your bottom line at the end of the day. Because if you're just having a yes or no conversation with a guest in the direct booking process, hey, do you want travel insurance, yes or no? That's a very, a quick and easy decision for them. They don't have to consider much. And if you're using a provider that's not as known nationally, like Nationwide, and I'm not going to go to the bottom bullet down there, but you've probably heard their jingle. And now that I've mentioned the jingle, you're probably actually singing it in your head. And I apologize for that because it's going to stick with you most of the day. But in that respect, you were by putting Nationwide as a choice, and then offering multiple choices for standard or cancel for any reason, you are putting that guest one step closer because of familiarity over if they had a brand that you offered that they're unfamiliar with. They have to do a Google search, they're taking away, and they're not, I'll do it later, and then there's no way to get back to the program. So with us, by having two programs and having it be very recognizable, you're going to sell more travel insurance on direct bookings just because of the familiarity. The two programs are priced accordingly, 7% for standard, 10.8 is CFAR, but it's not 10.8 for CFAR. It is 7% for standard and an additional 3.8% for cancel for any reason. So it's actually two separate policies at a separate price, which means if you're in North Carolina, you are not offering a travel insurance product that's above the standard pricing that they allow. This meets the North Carolina rules for travel insurance. And then, of course, like we talked about, ongoing training for your team. It's super easy to get folks in front of experts when they ask questions of your team that they don't know. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And then, of course, the brand recognition with Nationwide. And as we all know, Nationwide is on your side. And so you're going to sell more travel insurance just because of the familiarity aspect.
Hey, John, quick question on the cancel for any reason. Something I get asked quite often from the software standpoint is, would that be available for incoming reservations from OTAs, or is that direct bookings only?
That's a great question. With the OTAs, typically, whether it's Vrbo or Airbnb, those are the two big ones that we always talk about. They offer travel insurance to the guests directly. And many times there's probably anywhere between 1 to 5% take up ratio. Typically, you're not going to see many people taking that program from what we've experienced and what we hear from our property managers that we deal with. So when the OTA has a program they're offering, that booking is made, they say no thank you, they come to you as a booking and they haven't taken travel insurance. That's where in the next slide or the slide after that, I forget, we're going to talk about an online store and the ability for folks to be able to market back to those guests, whether it's through your own promotions or using a little secret service that we call Project Second Look, which then gets into the phones of folks as well as email to be able to offer that program and let them know they're still able to purchase the program, which is going to also drive more take-up ratio. So that's a great question. And we're going to give you the tools to be able to maximize that take-up ratio from your OTAs. With that being said, direct bookings are very important when you're offering travel insurance. And like we said, when somebody goes in and makes a direct booking, having a yes or no is similar to like the airlines. Do you guys ever take travel insurance from an airline? Most people don't. You just go straight. Like you try and make the booking, it's like, oh, darn it, I've got to go back and say no to travel insurance in the airline's bookings, right? With direct bookings in your website, what this is going to do is basically when you use Rental Guardian, you're going to have two options. Yes, I want standard travel protection. Here's the cost, and you can click to get more details right there. Or yes, I want cancel for any reason. It protects me for this, this, and this, plus the for any reason benefit, and of course the cost. Or no, I choose not to protect my trip. Just in the law of averages, if you were to have a 50-50 average versus a 66-33, and you were betting on which one you'd rather prefer, which one would you take? You'd probably want 66-33 because that means more people are going to have an option to say yes to the program versus just yes or no. And so in that respect, the way LiveRez has it built in with what we call opt choice gives property managers and their guests the ability to be able to feature this program and slow them down one split second longer to consider travel insurance because there's a double, there's two there versus just one. And then of course it's out of the way and you continue to payment. So here we've got Deadwood Connections, and this is their actual booking page from, they're a LiveRez partner, one of our partners as well, and they do a really good job of offering travel insurance. And here you can see it, it's not live, but it's an image from their live booking page directly from their website. Now here's where you get into the OTA ability as well, because when people come to you and you offer outbound communications with email and things of that nature, like, oh, thank you for your booking, or, oh, hey, you owe us some money, or, oh, hey, here's some welcome information when you come to town. That kind of touch point is a great opportunity for you to then put in a link to what we're going to provide you in the next slide, which is our online store, to be able to then allow for people to take travel protection. But if you don't have a way for them to get to that directly, then we highly recommend you put it on your website. Use one of your drop-down menus to be able to add a link to travel protection. And what that's going to do is you can then either drive people back to your website to click travel protection and say, yes, they want the program, which goes to your online store, or they can have this, you can have this link go directly to your online store, which then is going to look something like this. And that was actually Deadwood Connections' actual website. And this is their actual online store with Rental Guardian. And what they've done is they've been able to show a winter scene here. You can actually skin this for seasonality, do winter scenes in winter, summer scenes in summer. All you got to do is send us the photos you need and we can upload those very quickly and easily for you. But what they've done is they've been able to basically, in those outbound communications, click here to learn more. If that goes directly to your online store, they're going to be able to say, look, Nationwide travel protection. offers you great protection against hurricane, sickness, injury, flight cancellations, job loss, and more. Click here to get a quote. They're literally that close. One click, boom, to the website. One click, boom, they're in getting a quote. And all they have to do is give their basic information with regards to where they're from, where they're going, how much coverage they need, and it'll give them a quick quote, and they can buy it online 24/7. And the cool thing about this online store is that it will pay out the same earnings that you will make if you did it through your direct booking store. But you don't have to pay any additional fees for processing, meaning if somebody comes online and makes a credit card transaction and buys travel insurance, you will make the same amount without any additional fees coming out of the earnings that you would make if you sold it directly. So whether you sell it or whether we sell it, you're going to make the same amount, which is really cool. And the more people that you get in front of these tools, the more that are going to take up travel and travel protection, and the more earnings you're going to get because you're now selling more policies. But the key thing is your agents are going to breathe a sigh of relief, I would say, when somebody calls up and says, hey, I've got bad news. We can't come. My spouse has had a appendicitis, and we're rushing them right now to go into emergency surgery to take care of this. We can't come on our vacation in 5 days. And now all of a sudden, without travel insurance, that agent or team member of your team has to then have that awkward conversation to say, oh, I'm so sorry, but I also have to keep your $10,000 that you paid because you don't have travel insurance. So the more people that we can get in front of this program who have travel insurance, appendicitis, no problem. You keep the money that you're owed per your agreement. The guest can then call the underwriter, go online, send a text message, or even start it with an email to get a quote, to get a claim started and get that $10,000 back, which is a far better way to have a conversation than to be the bad guy when they don't have coverage. So the more people we get in front of it, the better. And this is a free store. It doesn't cost you anything. When you're a Rental Guardian client and you're using LiveRez, this is part of the tools that you will be handed online 24/7. Guests can also come in and manage their coverage. So if they need to add names to the policy or things of that nature, they can do so. They can also download and get additional information on frequently asked questions and things of that nature pertaining to the travel insurance program. And they can also begin the claims process to be able to get things started. So it's a super useful tool. It's complimentary to use, and it's going to be a great way for you to sell more travel insurance by integrating into your path of communications that you already have going out, by adding that additional touch point at the bottom that says, hey, you can purchase travel insurance. If you're interested, click here. So it's a pretty cool tool.
John, that's awesome. I see that you can manage your coverage after your booking, and you can even add those additional travelers and additional insurance. Got a question though. If they decline the insurance during their booking, can they come back to the store and purchase that at a later time?
Do you see my smile? Great question.
I do.
Great question, and 100% yes. Don't let somebody say no and be done. That's what happens all the time with travel insurance, with other providers that we come up against. We are an advocate of multiple touch points because, let's say, for instance, I booked a trip to Hawaii for my family, and by the time I was done, we stayed over a week. And I had 5 people, and I got, oh, do you want, pool view or ocean view? Do you want, larger extra bedroom? I mean, by the time I was done upselling myself on the booking, I was like, holy, you know what I mean? Like, wow, that's a pricey booking, right? So even me, I sell travel insurance. I always take my own travel insurance. I was like, oh, I've got to buy travel insurance now, right? Because my credit card was smoking. It was literally, So with that, you're going to find folks who just like, oh, I just spent 10 grand. I just spent 20 grand. I just spent 2 grand. Doesn't matter. They're like, oh, that money now leaves. And then they have that minute or instant of buyer's remorse because their vacation's not for another 3 months or something, right? So in that, if you're only doing one and done, your travel insurance sales are going to be super low. If you do multiple touch points and take advantage of these tools and then remarket back to your folks using the power of the LiveRez system, and giving them the opportunity to be able to receive an email saying, hey, thanks so much for your booking, but we want to make sure that you consider travel insurance. It's going to protect you against this, this, and this. We highly recommend the program. Click here to learn more. They come here, they see your brand, they see all the places where they're going to go, and they're like, get quote, they will reconsider it. And here's why. They've had a chance to then move on from that, from that credit card situation, and then consider the fact that, oh gosh, what happens if something comes up? Or maybe something in their personal life has come up and they're like, gosh, you know what? Yeah, maybe we should, because that's good. I forgot it's over soccer season. And what if they make the tournament this year? Stuff like that, right? So having that ability to be able to allow for folks to revisit the program in an easy fashion that you're already sending out anyways is fantastic. And this is working up for you 24/7, 365. As many people as you can put in front of it, you can do it. And as property managers, you can now buy your own travel insurance. How cool is that? So pretty neat. That's a great question. Thank you for that, whoever asked that. And with that, let's move on to another secret little widget that we've got, and that's called Project Second Look. Project Second Look is a collaboration between LiveRez, Rental Guardian, and LSI Tools to be able to allow for you to have a way to be able to market back to folks that said no thank you in all the different touch points that you might have done. Meaning we can schedule this to go after the direct booking opportunity, after any additional emails that you might have sent, and have this be something that goes out there and automatically looks for people with no travel insurance, but are still able to purchase it. And what you're going to find in this particular program, which is also free to use, by the way, is going to give you the ability to have something that goes out in email, and it's going to be able to allow for you to be able to have the content that you want. We can customize this to your market. So, if it's a hurricane destination, you want to talk about hurricanes, folks that travel to a hurricane destination anywhere between June and November without travel insurance, talk about a roll of the dice, right? Because Mother Nature can get in the way, and she many times does, as we've seen recently with Fort Myers and previously before that with other hurricanes that have hit Florida and caused devastating damage that they're still trying to get out from under, right? It also is going to basically allow for you to market back automatically without lifting a finger to the 75 or 65 or whatever percentage are the folks that don't have travel insurance but still can still get it, who have made bookings with you. And when you activate this, it's going to not only do automated email, but it's also going to give you the ability to have text messaging. And here's where you get in front of the OTAs, okay? Because as we all know, if you've ever done business with Airbnb, Airbnb is a big fan of that's their client, right? Even though you're providing the listing, you're providing the unit they're coming to, you're also providing the good customer service there on site as boots on the ground property management. Airbnb still says that that's their client. So they don't make it super easy for you to speak to your folks. But the minute that you have email address and or cell phone, this is going to be able to be sent out. And how cool is this for somebody to get a message on their cell phone, to click the link that they're given and to say, hey, you've got 11 days left to purchase cancel for any reason. You've got 72 days left to purchase standard protection. What that does is that gives them the ability to be like, oh gosh, I did, was considering cancel for any reason. Let me click to add coverage. They click that, they go right into the Second Look store, and they're able to buy it online 24/7 from the marketing efforts. And we can sync these with your efforts, which then allows for you to be able to have a comprehensive communication strategy to then say direct bookings, they said no. Direct touch points from your outbound emails, they said no. Project Second Look goes around in the middle of the night, scoops up some folks and says, hey, here's some content. Are you interested? And they're like, yes, boom, you've just sold travel insurance. And so it's really a great way to be able to add to the value that you're having here in this program of marketing it and getting in front of the folks at the right time. Like I said, sometimes after the direct booking, some people are like, oh yes, travel insurance, never travel without it. Absolutely. Don't care how much it costs. Other folks are like, oh, I got to wait a couple of weeks until I get paid. No problem. Mark it back to them and get them onto the program. And then of course, Second Look is going to come around and be that additional touch point that's going to work automatically for you. Now, one thing to notice, travel insurance sold through Project Second Look is at a slightly lower earnings value because there's more folks involved to be able to do that automated system. But it's like almost mailbox money, because many of our property managers call us up and be like, hey, you sent me a check for $5,000. What's it for? And we're like, oh, if you look, Project Second Look has been very busy and helped you get an additional $5,000 this month. Oh, okay. That's mine? Yep. Okay, great. I can cash this check? Yep, no problem. So it's just one of those things where when you have the tools working for you, they will work for you. And that's a great thing. And like I said, it's free to use, and it's kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you use it if you're offering travel insurance? And then I have to say this as well. I almost forgot. You don't have to use our travel insurance by Nationwide to use Project Second Look. I don't recommend it because obviously I work for Rental Guardian, but um, uh, you don't have to use our travel insurance. So if you use another brand of travel insurance, and you're on the LiveRez system, you can actually use Project Second Look, and it will look for anybody that doesn't have that travel protection that you offer, whoever it's through, and will offer our program directly to them as another way to offer travel insurance. But to the guests, they're just like, oh, yeah, I do want travel insurance. And they would go through our program, which then gives them two choices if they still qualify based on the date ranges, versus just yes or no. And you can be and feel comfortable because we do have the 30 plus covered reasons. We're super robust, and it's underwritten by Nationwide. So, it's kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you offer that if they said no thank you to the other protection? And then, of course, you could always call us up and switch both if you wanted to, but that's up to you. Anyways, so that's Project Second Look. We couldn't be more excited about that and how it operates and how it works. Now, the last thing we want to talk about with regards to the value of upselling and offering and getting more protection in the hands of your guests is training. With Rental Guardian and what we do, we provide you with training not only to be able to get started with the program, but we're also going to schedule a 1-hour webinar with your account manager to screen share and walk you through not only the Rental Guardian system, all aspects of the system, but also help you set up these additional things to be able to get your branding for your online store, as well as Project Second Look set up if you choose to use it. Like I said, it's kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you? But that's up to you. And in the training, we're not just one and done with training. And that's where we, I think, really, provide additional value when you work with Rental Guardian. We want to help train you before you start going into peak season multiple times. We're also going to record those trainings. So that way, when you have a new client, a new agent that starts with you who's going to be answering phones, they can sit through the training and not have to schedule it directly. Or give us a call and hop on the calendar. We can schedule it directly and do a live training, whatever works. But the key to training is taking somebody who's afraid and uncomfortable and making them feel comfortable, right? With what they can say, how they can say it. And so our big thing is to basically tell you not only what to say, but then some key aspects of what not to say, and then take advantage of the resources we provide, which is a 800 number that's available to ask questions directly or to send emails to be able to get information about travel insurance if they need to. Whatever which way they prefer to communicate and get more information, we can provide that, and we give you the tools that are available. Also, frequently asked questions pages and things of that nature, where people can go in and, oh yeah, I do have a question about that. Click that, learn like, oh, okay, great. Then come back to your website or the online store, click the link and buy it online. And now you're selling more travel insurance without even having to bother communicating with the guest directly. You've already done it through your automated touch points. So the key aspect of training and sort of the secret sauce of training is to don't just one and done it, and don't think that your training that you do in-house is going to, over the time that it takes to hire multiple different people, and one person trains another person who trains another person. It's that telephone game, right? Where the message gets a little bit watered down. So with this type of training, we always say, go straight to the source, give us a call, let us hop on and give you some training and get your people comfortable so they can tell a relatable story. They know what to say, what not to say. They have access to the phone numbers to be able to give folks, if they call up and say, hey, I'm interested in your travel insurance, and before I click get a quote, I need to know about pre-existing conditions. Well, if you called me and asked me that question, my face is going to be like this. Yeah, sure, happy to help. Let me get you to the 800 number so they can answer that question, because there is a correct answer with all of those types of questions that they have about the policy, but you don't have to be the information source. Let the experts who deal with this day in, day out answer those questions. Then they can come back and click the get quote button, buy it online, and of course be covered and promote your additional revenue for your bottom line by having the program. That covers travel insurance. Now let's dive into the other types of programs that are available, which are damage programs. And in your damage programs, good, we're still good on time. With damage programs, there's a few different products in the marketplace that you're probably familiar with. There's damage waivers, which are basically a set amount, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000, or whatever it might be. and you pay one flat rate and you get that amount of coverage. And if the guest is to cause damage, you can file a claim and get reimbursed for that damage that they caused. Now, the key aspect of these programs is who you're getting it from. Because when you use Rental Guardian, we do something that's a little bit different. We make you, as the property manager, and your homeowners the covered party, meaning the guest doesn't have any say-so on whether you get a claim filed or not. In other programs, they make the guest the covered party. What happens when the guest holds all the cards and you're trying to file a claim? It's very similar to chargebacks when the credit card company is working on behalf of the guest and they're like, no, I didn't stay there. I didn't do that. That's not, I didn't know. I did not. And that's a flat out lie. But the credit card company is going to make it difficult, and you have to provide a lot of information to try and get a claim paid, or get that money to you. With us, by us making you the covered party, the guest cannot say when you file a claim. They have to get a phone call, and then they're gonna be like on the phone call, they'll be like, yes. They're like, yes, Mr. Smith over at Deadwood Connections filed a claim and says that you broke his lamp and spilled wine on the carpet. Did you do that? And they're like, no, that must have been somebody else. We did not do that. Well, in your situation as a property manager, most times your claim is going to go denied because it's not your policy. So with Rental Guardian, fundamental switch, cheat code, we make you as the property manager the covered party, meaning we're not making those telephone calls to your guests. We're not saying, hey, did you do it? Did you not do it? It doesn't matter whether the guest calls you up and said they broke the lamp or whether they throw it in the trash man comes, the lamp is missing, and your cleaning crew goes in and is like, wasn't there a lamp on that table? You can still go ahead and say the lamp is missing, it was broken, thrown away, and they can file a claim and get reimbursed for the lamp. Damage protection, if you're using just the damage waiver type program, make sure you're the covered party. And if you're not the covered party and you want to, go from one damage protection to our damage protection, it's a super simple process, and we can talk about that. Another program that you probably want to talk about and have in your vision as far as what you're offering to your folks and using is what we call Home Guardian Plus. But it's a comprehensive program that's made up of multiple coverages for one flat rate or per night rate that allows for you to be able to have not only damage protection, but also dwelling protection for fires and water overflows. Also have liability protection in case the guest gets injured and claims you and the homeowner are liable. And then we toss in some bed bug protection because nobody likes to talk about bed bugs. But if somebody went to Vegas before they came to you, stayed at a hotel there that had bed bugs, brought them in their suitcase, and even though you might be in the mountains of Colorado where bed bugs don't organically grow, all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, you magically have bed bugs. How'd that happen? Somebody brought them to you. So these four policies are fantastic, and they're all paired in one low price. What this does is it gives you the ability to be able to comprehensively cover yourself and your homeowners for things that happen when you basically are renting your home to strangers on the internet, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you hope these are good people. They pass the, any ID verification you may have and things of that nature. Their credit card works out great. They are who they say they are, but then they just cause damage, whether it was accidental, doesn't matter. You're still left with that problem, and you need a program to be able to handle it. And this responds quickly and effectively. This program has 4 different tiers that we offer: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. We were very creative when we named them, and different levels that we can send you the pricing and so on and so forth. We're just going to talk about the platinum level on this one, which is the most and the highest level of coverage, which is $25,000 of contents protection. And $25,000. It is a caveat of $5,000 for any one item, so like a $5,000 stove, a $5,000 sofa, etc., up to a total of $25,000. But being able to have that amount, you may never use it, but having it puts your homeowners at ease, knowing that it's there, meaning you are now delivering more value for what you normally would on a program like this. And then, of course, having up to $1 million in dwelling protection to be able to, heaven forbid, one of the kids flushes a rubber ducky down the toilet keeps running, it doesn't shut off, and now they go out to the beach and they come back and there's water all over the hardwood floor and you have flooring damage. That's what this program is going to protect with regards to the dwelling, or fires in that case that are caused by the guest. Liability protection, you may have your own liability protection or may require homeowners to have their liability protection. But when you require a homeowner to have a certain protection, and let's say that the the parents who are now going to give that home to their children, and then the kids are running that, and there might be adult kids, and now they've changed their mind and said, well, let's save some money, and they go with another direction. Having this liability on there means come heck or high water, from the time the guest checks in to the time the guest checks out, because you've added it, there is protection in place. And that's a great thing. Now, if there is protection on another policy, then they work side by side, hand in hand, so to speak. But knowing that you put it on there and have access to it is going to be a sigh of relief for you, hoping it never needs to be used, but if it does, it's there. And then the bed bugs, like we talked about, it's done by bedroom. So if you had this program and you had it on a 1-bedroom, then there'd be 5,000 in coverage for bed bug. 2 bedrooms has 10,000, 3 bedrooms and above has 15,000. And, obviously most of the homes you rent are probably in the 2 to 3 to 4 to 8 bedroom range. So just notice that that's why we say 15,000, but it's up to 15,000. And super secret side note, there is smoking benefit built in here. When somebody smokes in a non-smoking unit, there is $1,000 built in for you to come, to get hire an ozone machine to go in there, or whatever you need to do to be able to remediate the smoke smell. Or if you have one of your own on site that you use, if you're larger and have those tools, you can then use it, create an invoice internally, and then send us that invoice with a zero balance, and we can reimburse you for the cost. And pets are covered in pet-friendly units. So if you have pet-friendly units and you're not using a program that covers pets, when you sign up for this program, the pets are covered in pet-friendly units. So when Fido chews the blinds, you can get the blinds replaced and not have to worry about it. Now, this is a big scary picture. Of course, things happen. People aren't familiar with using, the appliances that you may have in this particular unit. But at the end of the day, homeowners can rest easier because they know that the things that keep them up at night, knowing that there's people in their home renting it as a business, are covered. It also allows you to be able to, take pride and provide the coverage for your homeowners, because now they're able to get this coverage. If your homeowners came to us directly, we would not work with them because we don't work with homeowners directly. We only work with professional property managers. And in this particular case, it even is better because you're with LiveRez and we communicate via API. So now these types of programs can be put in place. If somebody was to dive into the pond instead of the pool, and there's no sign up that this is a pond, knucklehead, this is a pool, and there's a big claim because there's neck trauma and injury and loss of job and all these other things. Those are the last things you ever want to have happen. And knowing that there's $1 million for those types of instances just sort of puts your mind at ease, allowing you to be able to do business and feel better about it. Using these programs, especially this particular program with regards to the what we call the Home Guardian Plus, is a very valuable homeowner retention and homeowner acquisition tool. And here's why. First and foremost, you obviously know this, you're in the business. Homeowners are basically giving you the keys to one of, if not their most valuable asset that they have, right? And that $1 million, $2 million, $5 million home on the beach is super important to them. So by you getting their business and having a program like this, when they have that conversation with you and say, well, what happens if somebody causes a fire in my home? You then are able to say, well, gosh, you know what? Because you work with us, we have a program that we're going to put in place for your bookings. So from the time the guest checks in to the time the guest checks out, there's coverage for just that. Oh, well, that's another value-added service you've been able to bring to the table. And what we do is we give you branded materials that you can then present to your homeowners to leave behind and or send them by email to be able to then deliver that message with the benefits of the program. But I want you to notice something here. Right here, this is Island Beach Rentals. They use our homeowner protection program, the Home Guardian Plus, and they are now able to deliver similar types of coverage with only 31 units as to some of the biggest providers in the industry. How cool is that? That because they're partners with LiveRez and the value that LiveRez brings to the table by having all of the partners that they have in their inventory to have that buying power to allow for them to be able to have a program that's on par with some of the largest companies in the industry. Now you have exactly what you need to build your business and go out there and compete when you talk about these types of things. So having this program is going to work for you and also help you grow your door count, because if you lose a a homeowner to a larger company who has a program like this just because you're not using it, well, now you can. You can simply sign up and get it going, build it into the cost. Doesn't cost you anything because the guest is going to pay for it, but the guest has zero coverage. It's all yours and the homeowners. So it's a great way for you to be able to integrate something that's going to benefit you and help you grow your brand and grow your business at the grassroots level locally by being able to provide something that some of the national providers can also provide. So, you're able to compete. Let's say you leave that brochure behind and your homeowner calls you and says, hey, I want to talk about this, and this, and it's insurance questions. Well, that's fine. You're not an insurance agent. You're not selling insurance. You're just adding them to the program. So when those questions come up, we're more than happy to hop on the phone, have those questions with your homeowners, put their mind at ease. Our agency InsureStays, as well as myself and our team, are all property and casualty licensed agents in all 50 states. That allows for you to be able to, us to be able to speak on, to your homeowners directly and deliver that information that they need to make sure that they're, feeling comfortable with the program. But remember, if you ask them to opt in or opt out, many don't understand the value of what this does. And so they may not opt in. But you as a property manager, adding it as a benefit and saying, this is how we run things, adding it in gives you the ability to make sure that that program is in there. And that way, no matter what insurance they have on the outside, whether it's a traditional homeowners policy or whether they've upgraded to some other commercial grade coverage, this is in place. So that way, come heck or high water, it is there to protect you and the homeowner when the coverage is needed. With that, I am going to spend a few minutes, and it's very few, talking about with this program, there's another side to it, which is what happens when something does occur, when somebody does cause damage. Is it difficult? How do I do that? And this is the best part because Rental Guardian, in and of itself, I'd like you to meet Pam. This is Pam. Pam, meet LiveRez Partners. Pam is our Policy Administration Manager portal. And PAMP wasn't a great name, so Pam is better. But with that, this is how you're going to be able to log in and file claims. So when you do that, you're going to get access to your Rental Guardian account, and it's a simple 4-step process. Here's a dashboard, by the way. There's no information on it, but yours will be full of information as you start selling policies, filing claims, and things of that nature. Here's the 4-step process. First and foremost, step 1, already done for you. You don't have to worry about it. Unless you want the claim payment to go to somebody else other than you as the property manager, you can change that information if you want to, but or need to. But for the most part, step 1 is done. Okay. Step 2, tell us what happened. We're not looking for a forensic detailed report. We want just the basics. Guest spilled wine on the carpet. Okay, we're going to get the carpets clean. No additional comments. Literally, that's all the information we need. The information about where the damage occurred is going to auto-populate in the system per the API. But if you had to move somebody because they changed homes last minute because they showed up with 12 people instead of 6, and the unit did not have an occupancy for 12, then you would want to switch that out so the reporting is correct. Then you need to upload an image of the damage, snapshot of the wine stain, snapshot of the broken TV, things of that nature. You upload that in step 3, and then you're also going to upload your paid invoice or receipt, so that way we know how much to reimburse you for the cost. Here's another cheat code. Some providers in the marketplace do not pay replacement cost. They pay actual cash value. And with actual cash value, that means there's going to be depreciation on the money that you receive back sometimes if it's a larger item. And if you had a 2-year-old TV that somebody broke, was perfect working order, but in order to replace it, you have to go and buy a new TV for $500 and you get $400. How can you go out to the market with that other provider and buy a brand new 2-year-old TV? All right, doesn't work. So with our program, we pay replacement cost, meaning that what's on the receipt or what's on the invoice is what you're going to get. And that makes things much easier for you when you're trying to replace items. And then lastly, you have to initial and check a box certifying the information is accurate. This process right here should take you no more than about 90 seconds when it's, once you've done it a few times, and that's going to file a claim that then goes to the claims adjudicators, and then they will then get that information, work on the claim. If they have questions, they communicate back via the system. You get those notices, you can answer them, or they just go ahead and adjudicate for those claims that are approved. Then that's going to be able to show approved on your dashboard, and then and then you're going to get a payment, obviously, after that of the amount that you're owed. Very straightforward, very seamless, very easy. And that's the beauty of it. Rental Guardian in and of itself, property manager and property insurance distribution portal of insurance products and filing claims management system. So with those things in place, you now have a tool that's going to work for you. And I've heard some other folks talking about using some of the other providers in the space where they provide or try to provide something similar, but there's no reporting. There's no, it's difficult to upload images or something like that. So in those particular cases, you can feel confident because we have tons of reports that you can run. You can see the claims, you can see the sales receipts, you can see all those types of things running at a click of a button, and you're good to go. And you can also export those into Excel to make it easy for you. And lastly, before I turn it back to Katrina, how easy is it to get implemented and take advantage of all these fantastic benefits that I've just laid at your feet to have you consider? Well, it takes about 5 minutes. We basically just simply need you, because it's already integrated, we just need to be able to know that you're interested in what products you want. We have an activation form that you fill out. That takes about 5 minutes. We're going to ask you to complete about 3 simple steps. We then send all the details over to LiveRez. They drop that information into the LiveRez system on your behalf. And then they talk to you about any pricing things that you need to do for the damage programs. You want to add markup, make that additional revenue like we talked about. All there available for you. And then you tell us when you want it to start and you're good to go. Super simple, super easy. And if I can be of any assistance to you and you want more information, here's my contact information. Take a screenshot if you have it. I'm here to help and always love talking to our partners at LiveRez because of the great people that they have the chance to work with. It's just a blessing to be able to do business with them and you all as property managers and partners of LiveRez. So with that, Katrina, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. There's always such great information for you to share with our partners. So it's always super appreciated. I always learn something after one of these webinars as well. So that's great. And John told you how easy it is to get set up with them. Let me show you how easy this is to turn on in your LiveRez Ignite system. As John mentioned, we're API connected. So a lot of stuff happens on the back end that you're not seeing. And that's most of the work. When you want to alert Rental Guardian and their team that you do want to purchase one of these great products and packages that they have, you will be here on your Ignite dashboard. You're just going to come to the top left to your main menu, and you're going to drop down to settings. Over here to the left, you'll see that you have your integrations tab. So you're just going to click on that. I can already see Rental Guardian is activated in our demo site because, it's one of those we consider essentials that you have to have because, I alluded to the OTA question because every partner I've talked to that uses AirCover or anything that Airbnb and Vrbo have, it's just never enough. They always get stuck with some kind of bill. So that's something that I like to kind of emphasize when it comes to the vacation rental insurance. But if you're not with Rental Guardian, you will see under your inactive integrations, if you just click on that, you'll just find their tile, click on it, and all you have to do is just click this active button. And once that is clicked as active, it will send that company ID over. Once you click save, now down here, you will want to select which properties are going to be active in that program with Rental Guardian. So once you go through and you select all your properties, you'll click save. John and his team will get that notification and then you will be good to go.
We've got some
Awesome.
questions that have been lingering in the Q&A now that we've kind of wrapped up. Paul has 2 questions. One about CFAR coverage. How much do the guests get back, and how much revenue do the property managers keep?
That's a great question. So with regards to CFAR, it is an enhancement of the standard, right? Which means they did not, when they have CFAR, they did not, and they have to use it. That means they did not have a reason that was listed in the standard policy. So they're like, look, instead of, by buying CFAR, they're giving themselves the ability to basically just call up and say, I'm not coming. Doesn't matter what the reason is. In that particular case, they're going to get a 60% reimbursement of the money that was kept for that cancellation. So if they canceled last minute and your cancellation clause as a property manager states, hey, if you, Mr. and Mrs. Guest, if you cancel within X amount of days prior, typically it's like 30, 45, 60, 90, whatever. If you cancel within that window, I, as a property manager, am keeping all of the money that you paid. So we kind of suggest that you don't cancel. With that respect, that money that you're keeping per the cancellation clause, let's say they lost 100% of $5,000, then they would get 60% back of $5,000, which is far better than if they only had standard coverage and were being told, sorry, there's no coverage for your kid's soccer, making the championship of a soccer tournament, right? And so in that respect, having that's going to give a 60% reimbursement. Now, it's not 100%, but it's way better. And what most managers will do is they will then, to make the guest even more happy with the situation, is they will give them like a coupon for 40% off of a future booking within, a year or 2 years or whatever the case might be. So that way you're basically not losing anything by not having 100% reimbursement on the standard, but giving them 60% back and then getting a coupon out there for 40%. But that's up to each manager. Most managers just let CFAR go and do it because, for instance, in particular, let's say you're in a hurricane destination and the hurricane coming right for your destination, and then 4 days prior it makes a right turn, and now it's going to go up, and instead of hitting Florida, it's going to crash into North Carolina. But instead of getting the hurricane and the evacuation and all that goes with it, you're just going to get pounded with rain. Now, most people say, hey, a day at the beach, a rainy day at the beach is better than no day at the beach at all. But if you're going there for the sunshine and the boat charters and all that other stuff, go fishing and golfing and all that stuff outside, and you're like, dang, it's going to rain cats and dogs all week, I don't want to go, just call up and say I'm not coming, and you still get a 60% reimbursement. So that's cool about that. And then what was the other part of that question? I forgot. Or did I cover
The
them all?
second question was unrelated to CFAR, but is damage protection priced by day of stay for the guest?
Yes, so it's from the time the guest checks in to the time the guest checks out. And it is either a flat 30 days or 29 nights for a flat rate, kind of set it and forget it. Whether the guest stays 5 days or 25 days, it's the same cost. Or folks can do the per night fee, but unless you're in a destination that's only 3 or 4 nights, 100% of the time, I would recommend you do the per stay, because then you're going to have those 5 to 10 to 20 people over the course of a year that are not going to be happy when they stay for, 29 days and they have a daily rate that's, 29 times the price of the program. So flat rate is way more popular, but there's both available to them. And that's going to be, how that would work with regards to the stay pattern.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Jean would like to know where they can find the list of all 30 plus different circumstances that are covered for cancellation.
Fantastic. Yes. So we do have a document like that. If you would, we'll make a note of this, and I'll be provided with a list of folks that have these questions. I will send that over to you where you can view it online and see those 30 plus covered reasons. If lots of things in there that are listed. So I don't know them all 30 off the top of my head though. So
I love the detail in these questions. They want all the details.
I know, and I love providing it. We do have access to all that data. So it's a great question, and we'll get the answer over to you.
If Rental Guardian uses Nationwide for travel insurance, where do you see the actual policy information that you're upselling? Is that in another document as well? Yeah,
so that's going to be a document, and our system basically automatically sends that information out to the guest who purchases it. So they're going to get an email with all their policy. It's called the policy coverage confirmation letter, I believe it is. And it's got all of the information that they need. It's got their policy number, it's got the logo, it's got everything, and it's got about 35 to 40 pages of wonderful travel insurance information of the entire policy that's listed. But on your online store, we do also provide a link to sample coverage. So that way folks that really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the coverage and what it does and doesn't cover, folks, that want to dig that deep, you will have access to a link. You say, hey, go to our online store, click here on our travel insurance link. It goes to the store, they click view sample coverage, and they can download a copy of the PDF that's all 30 plus pages of travel insurance information.